Greetings. Let us talk about how to set up an electrosurgery unit. And this is a very important topic. And if you know how to do this, you'll be very comfortable assisting different procedures. These are my acknowledgements. And today's learning objectives include the following. We will learn the principles of electrosurgery unit operation and how to change the different parameters that are available in a particular machine. I must add here, I use a Irby machine, so I'm going to take you through using the Irby machine. And you should look at what machine is available in your unit and try to learn that machine. As you know, there are two different ways electrosurgery can be performed, either using a monopolar system or a bipolar system. Let us talk about first how to set up a monopolar system. When the endoscopist asks you to set up the electrosurgery unit, you need to bring the unit to the front so that everybody can see the unit. It should not be sitting behind. The reason is endoscopist should see what parameters are there on the screen before delivering that electrosurgical current to the patient. It's like a nurse checking or double checking the medication with another nurse before giving it to the patient. It's really important. So keep that thing in mind. Bring it to the front and make sure that it is visible to everybody. And next, you turn on the machine by pressing on the button. And this screen comes. So it will allow you to select a program. And let us select heart snare program. So all you have to do is press on that button. And you get the screen. And the next is you want to set up the system to allow it to complete the circuit. So the circuit consists of a monopolar electrode that goes to the snare and that should be connected, and a dispersive pad to return the current from the patient body back to the electrosurgery neutral unit. So place the dispersive pad on an area, especially better to place it in the loin that is closer to the operation when you're doing endoscopy procedures. So plug the device and the dispersive pad, and once you've done that, then the next step is to engage that heart snare program. And how do you do that? You press on that green button by the side of the monopolar outlet, and that will engage the program. So the program is ready to use. And how do you deliver the current? And you use the foot pedal to activate and deliver the current. So it is important to go through this by learning about the electrosurgical current circuit that we've learned before. So you have the generator, the monopolar electrode carrying the voltage, the current from the generator to the snare, and from the snare through the tissue dispersive pad back to the neutral electrode. And as the current is going on through the tissue, as it meets the resistance at the snare stock, the temperature increases, and as the temperature increases, it results in the cut. And whether it is a cut or coagulation depends upon what type of current is delivered. By pressing on the yellow pedal, you deliver the cut current. By pressing on the blue pedal, you deliver the coagulation current. So once the system is set up, make sure you bring the foot pedals and place it closer to the endoscopist's feet so that he can comfortably operate the foot pedal. Say for example, you have everything set up right, but the endoscopist is not seeing an effect despite putting his foot on that yellow pedal down. Nothing is happening. What do you do then? You go back and check the electrosurgery unit and check the neutral electrode segment and see there are two brown icons there. That means the brown means the circuit has some problems. In that case, you trace the circuit back from the monopolar outlet, whether it is hooked properly or not, plugged in properly or not. Is there a loose connection? Then go to the snare, see if that connection is good or not. Go to the dispersive pad, see if the pad is placed properly or not. And then come back to the neutral electrode and see whether it is plugged in well or not. By going through this, you'll figure out. It's not uncommon for me to see that somebody has forgotten to hook the monopolar electrode to the snare socket. That happens commonly. And once you fix that, you will see the nice lightish green blue color come up. That means you're ready to go. Okay. Let us talk about setting up a bipolar probe, right? You select the program and you plug in the electrode and engage the program like we did for the monopolar, and the program is ready to use, and you press on the blue pedal for delivering coagulation current. All right. So we've learned how to set up the programs, and let us learn about different parameters that you see on the screen. There are two things. On the left side, you see yellow, and the right side, blue panel. Yellow panel is all for cut, and blue panel is all for coagulation. The OB machine has a special parameters called Endocut Q, Endocut I. Q is used for snare, I is used for either sphincterotome or a needle knife. And when you look at it on the Endocut Q, below you see effect, that is 3, and cut duration, cut interval. What do they mean? So let us talk about what does the effect mean. Effect means coagulation. In Endocut Q or Endocut I, the way the program works is you have a cut cycle and a coagulation cycle followed by a cut cycle. So a cut, then coagulation, cut, coagulation. And effect 1 means there is no coagulation in between the cut cycles. Effect 3, there is coagulation in between the cut cycles. Same for effect 2 as well as 4. As you can see, as the effect is increasing from 2 to 3 to 4, there is more intense coagulation. So if you have an area that you want to cut and you don't want coagulation and you want to have a pure cut without coagulation, using Endocut Q, you keep your effect not at 3, bring it down to 1. If you want more coagulation, you could increase it to 4. But typically in endoscopy operation, most of us stick with 3. Next, let us talk about cut duration. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you go from 1 to 4, the duration of the cut increases. If you want to have very fine control of your cut, keep your duration short so that you have a little bit of cut and you can readjust your cut depending upon how the previous cut goes. If in case you want longer cuts, you can increase the interval to 4. So I typically keep my cut duration at 1. If in case I see a lot of scar tissue and I want to cut more, like avulsing a scar tissue polyp, then I increase the cut duration to 2 or 3. Next, let us talk about cut interval. It is the interval between two cuts. We talked about cut, 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 and in between the cuts you may have coagulation. We know the duration of the cut, and when it comes to interval, it is the interval between cuts, either cut, 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 or cut, cut, cut. If you use a duration of 1, every 400 milliseconds there is a cut, next cycle of cut, and a duration of 2, every half a second. A duration of 3, every 3/4 of a second. Duration of 5, every second. All right. So depending upon how much of coagulation you want to have in between your cuts, you can change your cut interval. I typically keep my intervals at 3. All right. So we have here Endocut Q, effect 3, 1, and 3. And if I say, hey, I need to reduce my cut effect, how do I change it to 2? So you press on the button by the side of the effect, and it will give you an opportunity to either go up or down. And in this case, if you want to go down, press the lower button and it goes down. And then when you return, it will go down to effect 2, 1, 3. All right. So we talked about it. Now let's talk about coagulation. There are so many coagulation modes. And depending upon what you want, you can change it to soft coagulations, different forced coagulation, spray coagulation. We already talked in our previous chapter between soft, forced, and spray in terms of the depth and the speed of the coagulation. So you want to, you've done the job and you say, I need to change to and go to a different program. I'm now in Endocut and forced coag, but I need to go to a different program. You can press on the guides for program, and then when you come back here, you can select the program that you want and move on. I hope this session has been useful. My recommendation is play with the machine so that you don't have to worry about in the midst of the procedure thinking what the next step is. And if you can perfect this technique, you will be enjoying assisting various electrosurgery procedures. Critical. Thank you.